Hello my friends from the interwebs, Survive with Knife here, doing another knife review finally, and this is a promised one. I've said in several past videos I'm going to be reviewing this knife, and so I'm going to finally do that. This is the Otanashi no Ken. Love this knife. This is designed by James Williams. Manufactured by CRKT, as you can see on the pocket clip there. Just an absolutely beautiful knife. I was introduced to this knife there was a press release put out by CRKT with new knives that they were putting out, and I just immediately fell in love with it and just had to have it. So I've been monitoring and watching, just waiting for it to finally get out on the market, and the instant I saw it available, I bought it, and I've been carrying this knife for probably about 6 months now. So the question is has it lived up to my expectations, and has my opinion on it changed at all since I've received it? So we'll be going over that. So the first thing we're going to look at, I've got my talking points here so I can keep my thoughts lined up and I don't get off on rabbit trails. The first thing is the handle scales. This is a liner locking knife. The liner locking side is made of stainless steel. The opposite side is made of G10. And there are no stainless steel liners on the G10 side. It is just a slab of G10. That's it. The locking bar right here can be locked into place with an additional switch right here. And if you move this switch forward, you can see that there is a small piece of metal, stainless steel I presume, that moves forward and just holds that locking bar down. Now, that doesn't turn this knife into a fixed blade, but it obviously does keep the lock bar from, disengaging the knife blade during, really rough use. Now, do I ever use that? No. Do I need it? No. Do I even really want it on there? Probably not. But it is there for those of you that are actually interested in something like that. So the next thing I want to talk about is the pocket clip. It's a very deep carry pocket clip. I have it on the G10 side because of the fact that I carry it in my left hand pocket. It is also swappable for righties. And here's one of the things that I have that I don't really like about the knife. Typically, I do like deep carry knives. But in this case here, I find this knife very difficult to extract from the pocket. And the reason for that is probably because I'm carrying it on the left side, and that puts the pocket clip up against the G10 handle scale. If you were carrying it in your right pocket and had the pocket clip against the stainless steel, it would probably slip out easier. However, I find it difficult to extract it from my pocket, and I will demonstrate that. And because of that difficulty is the reason that I have a lanyard, a Chris Reeve style lanyard, attached to this knife. And I just leave this hanging out of the pocket, and I typically extract it, as you saw in the demonstration there, with my pinky grabbing hold of the lanyard. It just helps me get the knife out of the pocket. If I try to pull it out this way, it just tends to grab. The handle spine has likely some sort of Zytel or spacer right back here, and no spacer of the forward part of the knife. So you could kind of blow that out if you needed to. Jimping, there is jimping here. I would say that that's probably not really functional unless you held the knife back towards the back end of the knife. If you're forward on the knife, where you typically would hold the knife, there is no jimping. There's no jimping on the back of the blade either. But if you're trying to get more reach, there is a little bit of jimping there to give you some additional grip. The blade steel is AUS 8, which I really do like that steel. However, for this particular knife and at the price point, I would prefer a better steel. I would say AUS 8 is more a mid-grade steel, and that's from my experience with it. And for this knife, at its price point of $100 and up, I think you might find it, actually at Blade HQ they're selling it for about exactly $100 now with special pricing, but typically you're going to find it around $115, and MSRP is actually $150, and I just think that's kind of high for an AUS 8 steel blade. The factory edge was actually pretty good. I haven't touched this knife up. I'm not going to demonstrate the edge. It needs some work right now. But it was pretty good when I first got it, though. I wouldn't say it's the sharpest knife I've ever gotten, but it was above average. The blade shape is what is unique about this knife. This is known as the Osuraku, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. It's Osuraku style blade. You can see it's maybe what you might call a modified tanto. There is a distinct break there between the two edges. You got a flat edge going here, and then a slightly curved with a little bit of belly edge right here. Now, this knife is also advertised as being hollow grind. However, in my observations of the knife, this is not hollow ground. It's a flat grind from this point right here down to the primary bevel. So, yeah, I don't really think this is hollow ground at all. The spine, as you can see, is slightly ground off, giving it kind of a false edge up here. The blade size, now this is a big knife, and this is why I call it the pocket sword. The blade length is 4.5 inches, 4.5 inches. The overall length from tip to the butt of the knife is 10.125 inches. The width of the blade is 1/1600ths of an inch. The handle length is 5.54 inches, and the handle thickness is almost half an inch at 0.43 inches. The knife weight comes in at a whopping 6.2 ounces, so it is a heavy knife, but it's a big knife, so you do expect it to be heavy. It's not a light knife. But with that length of a blade, 4.5 inches, it's definitely going to weigh that. But due to the thinness of the knife, and also due to the thinness this way, I have to say it really kind of drops into your pocket, and you can kind of forget about it. It's not as big as some other large knives with a 4.5 inch blade would be to carry around. The opening mechanism is a thumb disc versus a thumb stud, and I don't really have any problem with that. No complaints about that. It works great. As you can see, the knife opens very well, very quickly, very fast in opening. You could either flip it out like that. I have another method that I found to work. If I hold the knife like this and I simply snap the knife, the blade just comes out very quickly. And that was a very poor demonstration, but I'm behind the camera also. But yeah, if you just take the knife, and let's try that again, and it's not working behind the camera, but you can snap that out very, very easily that way. Or you can obviously just flick it with your thumb, and it will come out very quickly. So for a large knife, its deployment is very quick. Ergonomics, I have to say the knife is comfortable in hand. I haven't used it extensively for hard cutting, so I can't really tell you if there are any hot spots on it, but for my carrying it over 6 months, now that's not every day, but carrying it quite extensively over 6 months and using it, I haven't really noticed anything that I consider a problem with the ergonomics. It flips very well. You can do a reverse grip, no problem. Very comfortable in all the positions. Now, the knife roll. What purpose is this knife? Well, first of all, it's primarily a tactical self-defense knife. This is not an EDC knife. While it could be pressed into those situations, it's not really made for that. I don't really consider it a good survival knife either. I don't know that I'd want to build a shelter with this. It could obviously be pressed into that duty. It is a tough knife. It's not really good for hunting. It's just really got too sharp of a point, not enough belly. It's, you know, I wouldn't want to use it to skin out a deer or, you know, work on a rabbit. But, you know, it could always be pressed into those, but its primary role and function, at least in my book, is tactical self-defense. Now, it has another role, I think, that would work, which I don't have on the list here, but this is could be used as a urine producing knife. You could flip this out in front of the in-laws and you might produce a little bit of urine in the underwear. So that's another thing that it could do. Now, the thing that really I think that this knife just exudes in is the cool factor. The cool factor is really what got me to buy it, and I still love the knife for that reason, and which is why I'm going to score it high. Simply because I just love the knife. I think it just looks phenomenal. I think it looks great. I really enjoy carrying it. You know, as all you knife lovers out there know, we like playing and fondling our knives, and this is just one of those knives. I just love doing that. I love playing with it. It comes out very quickly for the size of knife. Going back to the James Williams design, James Williams typically does design a lot of Japanese samurai type pocket knives. He has 3 or 4 others in very similar configurations. This one was actually made specifically upon request of SOCOM, or Special Operations Command, requested James Williams to make a folding knife for them to use for their Special Operations community, to use for CQB or close quarters combat. So that is why the box here, when you get it, does say for professional use. Obviously I am not a professional, but I can say that I can still enjoy that knife. So there we go. That's my review of the Otanashi no Ken. Let me know what you think, and let me know if this knife intrigues you at all, or if any of you guys have it. I've really been enjoying it, and you know, other than the pocket extraction issue, and maybe I would like it in a little bit of better blade steel, I really have got nothing against this knife. It's really a great knife and a great buy. So there you go, guys. You guys have a great day.